I thought that's what it was.
Okay, I did.
You did get this?
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah.
Now, our ordinance states if it touches it, if it's right across the right. Oh, you are I've been here for 5 years.
What you need to do. What's your status? What would you do this thing? Why I got this.
Yeah, if your property touches whoever's really right or that, whatever that touches for you.
This is across the street.
Yes, yeah, if it touches or directly across the street.
I got that one. I was looking for something different.
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought.
Oh, I got it. Oh, good, good. Wow.
Okay.
Is William not going to be?
Yeah.
Yellow and the white line.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Second evening, everyone. It is now 6 o'clock. It's time for the planning and zoning meeting to convene. And I'd like to start off by welcoming each and every one of you here tonight to our public hearing. At this time, as I always do, I would please ask you to stand with me for a word of prayer, and then we'll get started. Okay? Let's pray. Eternal God, our fathers, once again, we're bowed in our presence, thanking thee for all the good and perfect gifts thou bestowed upon us. Our Father, we thank you for life, health, and strength. Our Father, we thank you for allowing us to move because everything that we do, we have to give you all the praise and glory. Our Father, we ask you to get in our minds that we may make the right decisions as it pertains to our county. Our Father, we ask to bless this entire world. And our Father, will be so careful to give you all the honor and glory. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. Thank you so much. I'd like to call the Madison County Planning and Zoning public hearing to order and welcome everyone in attendance tonight. Let me introduce myself. I am Canola Scott, Chairman of the Planning and Zoning. As the first order of business this evening, I'm required to read a few statements regarding the zoning process. Should you have any questions after I have finished, please raise your hand and I will try to answer them. Before I get further into that, I have a couple of announcements I want to make. First of all, it's a little warm in here. The AC is broken, so just bear with us. We'll try to get through this the best that we can. And I need to apologize at first. First, I'm eating cough drops, so if I start to cough, please accept my apologies. Doing the best I can with that. Okay. Zoning directly affects private property rights. These include the rights of property owners to enjoy and use of their property, and the right of adjacent property owners and the general public not to be unreasonably harmed by specific land use. The recommendations made by the Planning and Zoning Commission this evening will be based on provisions of the Georgia Zoning Procedures Act, the Madison County Zoning Ordinance, the Comprehensive Plan for the Land Use of Madison County, and information that is presented at this public hearing tonight. Tonight is the first of two public hearings that will be held. A second public hearing will be held before the Madison County Commissioners at this location at 6 o'clock. Somebody give me the date.
June the 5th.
June the 5th.
Yes,
Attendance by applicants and their representative is not required at the public hearings, but attendance is encouraged in case questions come up that I may not be able to answer. Order of business. As of our order of business tonight, first, I will introduce the applicant, and then the zoning administrator will give her comments. Then the applicant or their authorized agent will come forward, state their name and address, and sign in, and then state the reason for their request. You may provide any information or documentation supporting the application. Next, the planning and zoning members will have the opportunity to ask questions to clarify their understanding of the issues relating to the application. Afterwards, I will open the floor for public comment in support or in opposition to the request. The Madison County Planning and Zoning Commission is a recommending body only, consisting of concerned citizens who are appointed to a 4-year term by county commissioners. We are a fact-finding body that visits the properties under consideration, review the information associated with the application, consider public comment. The final binding decision on each request will be made by the commissioners at their meeting in June. I emphasize that every applicant or their representative is not required to be present at the second public hearing. But when I present the application to the Board of Commissioners, if after I make the presentation, the applicant feels there's some information left out or something that you would like to add, please feel free to do so at that time. In addition, any person supporting or opposing the request should also be present for the second hearing. With that, we will begin our public hearing. Our first rezone request is by Marcia Young. Ms. President? Oh. I do apologize. We would like to introduce the board members tonight, starting on my left.
Stephanie Harvin, District 3.
Good evening, Bruce Gandy, District 5.
Cynthia Forrest, Fortson, I was elected by the board.
Kenneth Bradley, District 1.
Canola Scott, Chair, appointed by the Chairman of the Board of Commissioners.
Lee Mitchell, District 2.
And we're missing William Smith tonight, who's unable to attend District 4. All right. With that, y'all keep it straight now. Tracy?
Okay, first up, we've got Marcia Young, and she is at, she is requesting to rezone her 2 adjoining properties, which contains 6.48 acres and 7.07 acres, from A1 to A2 to combine into one parcel for a total of 13.55 acres. This will also allow the properties to be brought into compliance with zoning regulations. The properties are located at 6274 and 6278 Highway 191 in Comer on map 67, parcels 76 and 77 in District 2. And this rezone is kind of a two-step process for her. She has an existing dog kennel that is now considered non-conforming. And first of all, she did not have enough acreage for the A1 zone, which that's required of 25-acre minimum. So she has decided to, if this is approved, adjoin the two properties, and that would give her a little over 13 acres, in which in an A2 zone, only 10 acres are required for a dog kennel. So the rezone would first have to be approved, and then the next time she would have to do a conditional use for the dog kennel.
All right, that. Ms. Young, are you present? Would you please come forward, state your name if you haven't already signed in, and give us a little background on what you want, why you want it.
I'm Marcia Young, and I own the two properties, and my daughter and her family live there too. There's two residences. The dog kennel actually belongs to them. And when we bought the property, there's already an existing horse paddock that straddles the property. So we would like to join the two pieces to bring that into compliance. And we have some storage buildings. They're a little bit close to my line, and they would be also in compliance.
Right, anything else? All right, we'll bring you back in just a second, okay? Is there anybody here that would like to speak for first this rezone request? Is there anyone here that wants to speak in support of this rezone request? Hearing none, is there anyone here who wants to speak in opposition to this rezone request? Yes, ma'am, would you please come forward, state your name, and state whatever issues you may have.
My name is Cynthia Gray. I live at 6270 Highway 191. My residence is adjacent to Ms. Young's property, and I have rental property next to that. We live at the end of a long private road, and so my two properties are closer to 191. Hers are at the back of the drive. I'm here to strongly oppose their request to rezone the properties and combine them, because I don't believe this family has operated their puppy mill in good faith and followed the regulations the county has established or will establish in the future. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for the puppy mill. Finally, someone noticed that they weren't in compliance. I'd like you to vote against the request, and I'll give you some examples. I've tried being a good neighbor. I've tried to give them access as they needed to bring in all their trailers and the sheds and everything down back. And the agreement was they were going to clean off the corner of the property that they were cutting through. Well, they cut enough to get their sheds and their trailers through, but they haven't done anything else as agreed upon. They violated the county's May to September burn ban on several occasions. I believe there are other people living out of the sheds and a camper trailer that's located on the property. There are several driveway issues, excessive amounts of traffic up and down the private drive off of 191. On an average, it's 8 to 10 different vehicles daily, and it's not their vehicle, it's other people's coming in and out of the property. But as soon as the rezoning request went up, all of that traffic disappeared for some reason. So, but I have no doubt that it will come back once your action is taken. They've been totally disregarded our request to slow down because gravel goes everywhere and I have to mow that access to the drive. It's in need of repair because of the speed at which they drive. They can't seem to stay on the road because I sent pictures with my letter to you all showing how their equipment, I'm not saying they're personally doing it, I'm just saying the people coming in and out can't seem to stay on the road. When they meet traffic head on, they choose to pull onto my swale that was built to keep water drainage from going towards the barn and our homes, rather than there's 2 or 3 cutoff points all the way down the drive that they could utilize. It's a private drive intended for residents. It's not there to support a business, which obviously they have. The noise generated, their excessive barking. I have a deck all the way across the back of my property. I look out on my pasture. I have a flower garden that I used to enjoy, but don't any much anymore. Excuse me while I get this up. Sorry. Pardon. This is not a one-time day or 2 times a day. This is whenever traffic goes down there or whenever people are nearby. And it certainly spoils the serenity and peace that existed prior to this. The treatment of the dogs themselves. I know that they've pushed their confinement areas further into the woods and have built sheds, but there are 2 stagnant ponds that are back there breeding mosquitoes that always have, and they can't get very much sunlight, and I don't know about scheduling being allowed out, but this can't be a very good living conditions for the dogs themselves. They say they love animals, but you don't treat them this way, if they do indeed. We have a shelter in the county that can't find enough homes for the dogs it has. Do we really need or want other people breeding more animals that'll need more homes? In closing, I have worked in municipal government for over 50 years, and I have faith that the voices of the citizens will matter. You have an opportunity today to right a wrong done to the neighbors of this area when the puppy mill was put in. I beg you to vote no to their request to combine their properties and rezone from A1 to A2, because their whole intent to do so is to be able to keep the puppy mill. I shudder to think what might come next with further degrading the area if that is possible. Please do the right thing and restore the peace and serenity of this area back to those who have lived here for decades and worked to maintain their properties. Our resale value has no doubt greatly compromised because of what they have done. Please shut this down now for the sake of the community and the dogs. Do not allow them any leeway to expand into other endeavors or other businesses by rezoning them to A2 and come back to request additional conditional use permits. To do so would be a disservice to this community. If you vote no now, then they can't come back later for approval on a puppy mill. It's just that simple. I believe that people show you who they are, and I've seen enough. I thank you for your time and service, and would greatly appreciate your opposition to this rezoning request.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else in opposition to? Anyone else like to speak in opposition to this rezone request? Hearing none, Ms. Young, would you please come back? I will close the public hearing at this time and bring it back to the board for any questions that you may have of Ms. Young.
Yeah. So, when did you realize that the kennel was comply?
We recently removed an older single wide back in October, and the traffic coming up and down the driveway wanted people to put a foundation for a newer and double wide. And we were not aware we were out of compliance until the building inspector came out and told us that. When the double wide was being, the electrician and all this.
Yes, ma'am.
And may I say one more thing about the driveway, when we're talking about driveway? Sure. The driveway does not meet the requirements for the private road. We're supposed to have it supposed to be 25 feet wide on either side. The neighbors, two of their fences are in some places only 1 foot from the gravel. And it's my understanding it's supposed to be 12 and a half feet from the center of it. And so that's why there's always somebody trying to get around somebody.
Yes, ma'am. Now, this is a shared private drive.
It's a legal easement, is that correct?
Okay. So, who's responsible for maintaining?
Well, Ms. Gail Cleveland was the manager of the driveway, and she passed away. We have on occasion gone and filled in all the holes and done it ourselves.
So you've never had a license to operate?
I don't have one, no, but we have a kennel license through the Department of Agriculture. The agricultural people were out this week to inspect the path.
And I noticed, looking at the regulations for the kennel, there's a stipulation in there that's a plan of action in case for some reason the permit gets revoked. And in this case, it's not been established yet.
Well, we have a plan of action.
And
So we thought that was
for moving the animals out?
For moving the animals, yes, sir.
And why hasn't that been executed?
Because we were coming to ask how could we get into compliance.
Oh, I see. But during for the time that they're not in compliance, you're just going to leave the dogs.
The non-compliance, the way I understand it, is simply that the dog kennels are too close to the property line. So we had a new survey done, and then we know where the property line is.
Yes, ma'am. And has the state given you a list of things that need to be rectified?
No. Like I said, she was just out, was it last week? Mm-hmm. Last week. The Department of Agriculture came out for a surprise visit. Everything passed. No recommendations.
Okay. What sort of flooring do you have in those kennel enclosures?
It's a type recommended by the Agriculture Department. It's premium. Is it?
It's vinyl coated welded wire that's 1 by 1.
Well, yeah, there's a few, particularly it says that, cannot be graded mesh floors. Would you consider that a mesh floor?
No.
That was one thing that 3 months ago the department pointed out that, they will eventually start rusting, so we replace them all with either new,
Vinyl coated welded.
the vinyl coated.
So your intention is to continue with,
We've been cutting down on the dogs. We went from, I think we've gotten rid of 50. And that is our plan, to continue to get rid of some.
okay, at this point tonight, we're just looking at rezoning in order to come in compliance with 32. And you realize you have to come back for permission to keep
Yes,
it.
we discussed this evening.
Thank you, ma'am. That's all.
How many dogs do you have at this point, right now?
I believe they counted 175 adults and puppies
Okay.
on Friday.
Okay. I thought I heard 50.
We have gotten rid of 50.
You got rid of 50.
The last time she came out and inspected, there were 225.
And these dogs are for resale,
Yes.
they're just for sale?
Yes.
Oh, I'm Cynthia. I just wanted to ask you, the drive, I went way, long drive. I think, is there about 3 other houses or 2 other houses before I got to your house?
There's Miss Gray's house and her rental unit.
Oh, okay, that first
And then
unit.
the side of Carol Daniels' property, which faces 191. It starts with the side of Carol's house, then it goes to Miss Gray's rental, then it goes to Miss Gray's.
Oh, okay.
And then mine and then hers.
Oh, okay. So the easement, and as far as traffic-wise,
At the gate,
are,
at the gate, we put did you come out?
yeah,
Okay, there were some keypads there. That's where our property is. So I guess that's the end of the driveway.
yeah. But I came to your house, that was before I got to the,
Well, that's Miss Gray's house.
oh, that's great.
The gate in front of Miss Gray's house has been wired open because the easement's not supposed to have to.
Okay. All right, so, but as far as the easement, everyone has access to that coming up there. And as far as traffic-wise, you're gonna have a business later.
No, we never sell on the property.
Oh, I thought you just said.
She sells them, but not on the property.
Oh, okay, you're not gonna be selling dogs on the property, so you're going to relocate to somewhere else.
We relocated the pens, and the reason they're not 50 feet from the line into the woods, so they would have shade, and they would have more trees and so forth. There is a horse arena there that was there when we bought the property, and they used to have horse shows there, and that's where we first put the dogs. And Miss Gail Cleveland even suggested to us that we move it back in the woods so they wouldn't be seen or maybe have more shade. So we did.
Okay, so you're planning to house the dogs there and sell them at another location?
Yeah.
So you're going to build a shelter or some kind of housing for air conditioning and all that to put the dogs in? Are they gonna be an open pen?
The pens that you saw when you came out are the ones that the adults stay in. There, we have buildings with air conditioning and heat that we keep the mothers and the puppies in.
Okay, so it's, as far as the traffic-wise,
No one comes to service the dogs. There is a trash dumpster that a truck comes down and empties the dumpster. But there's no commercial traffic unless it's FedEx or something like that.
so that's how you get rid of the waste is.
We have a compost pile. We are planning on getting a pit to put it in and then we cover it up, but right now it's on top.
We recently had some grading done on the driveway for the water runoff that runs down the hill, and a lot more gravel put out on the driveway because we put the double wide there instead of the old single wide. The single wide was in 1986. This newer mobile home is not brand new, but it's a 2017. We're trying to improve, but it's very costly.
What, let's say we vote against you combining both lots, what would y'all do with the dogs?
We will ask for time to find them home. We work with a rescue.
Now, are you in compliance with the state?
Yes.
As far as you know, at this moment, you are.
She told me on Friday that we passed and everything was fine.
Okay. Do you understand what you gotta do to get in compliance with the county?
Yes, we have to move the dog pens outside with the adults in it so that they're 50 feet from the property line. 100. So we did not know where the property line was. We did not see a survey when we bought the property. And one of our neighbors, Mr. Gentry, he had his fence for his house on our property. So it's really hard to tell back there where it goes. But we did have a survey, and now we have flags everywhere. So yes, we can move to be in compliance with 100 feet.
Golf course, Christopher,
Yes, sir.
is it your understanding that that's the only non-compliance part of what we're dealing with here?
Any structure that has to deal with a kennel has to be 100 foot from a property line.
Yes.
which would include any of the buildings where they have the mothers and the puppies, or feed, housing, anything dealing with the kennels has to be 100 foot from a property line and 250 foot from any dwelling that is not the owner's dwelling on the property.
And that's why we requested that you make this all one piece of property. When we first put the buildings with the air conditioning in, they have electricity in there, but I guess it just is not known enough that we're not 100 feet from my line.
Okay. Just to give one clarity, they have a pet dealer's license. They're not a registered kennel; they're a registered pet dealer. For one, the property lines would be from any property line. In the case of a kennel, it doesn't matter if it's the rear side property line or the front. Anything dealing with the kennels has to be 100 foot from a property line, and then the buildings themselves have to be 20 foot apart as a structure. And that's going into our international construction codes that are also adopted through our adopted administrative procedures in zoning. So the buildings would have to be separated out by at least 20 foot between each one as well.
I have one other question. How do you plan to deal with the noise for the neighbors? The marking of $200 or $150?
Unless someone comes down our driveway, normally they are quiet.
Is there any other reason that you're moving forward with the rezone other than just to get the conditional use?
Yes, our paddock is on the property line, and I mean, even if the dogs were gone, we had 4 storage buildings that are close to the property line.
We have horses, and the paddock services the horses that's where we keep their hay, and it was there prior to the purchasing the property.
I have another question. She struck interesting. Okay, are you considered rescuing? You get your dogs from rescue dogs? Are these rescue dogs, or these are things dogs that you actually are breeding?
Breeding.
Okay, you're breeding these. Okay.
So breeding usually takes place when they're 2 to 6 years old, and as soon as they age out, and or if we have any that need extra help, we work with a rescue that takes the puppies, and they have a grant to do that, and it's like a puppy safe that has a leg impediment. They'll take it and they'll find a home. Or when they age out, we try to find them a home, and we get help to two rescues.
Oh, okay. So if this goes through, your future is to continue the kennel, and how many dogs would you keep on your property at that time for the kennel? Now you have over 100 something. Would that be the same, or would you have a limit of dogs that you would be breeding or keeping on? Well,
We plan to try to keep going downwards. Giving you a specific number, I'm thinking somewhere between 50 and 75 adult dogs, not 100 anymore.
Now, that's just adults, not the puppies.
Right, because even if you had 20 dogs, they could all have 7 puppies, and then you're in the 100-something puppies again.
How many adult dogs do you have right now?
I believe there's 110. I might be wrong about that.
So why aren't you already at 15? Like, why are there so many right now?
All of the shelters are full, that is true. And some people do want adult dogs, but most people want a cute little full-blooded puppy.
How many puppies do you have right now?
Around 25 to 50.
And how quickly do those get usually? Like, how long have you had those puppies?
Some of them are 5 months old. They haven't sold. So we separated out most of our adults. There's a recession right now. People are just not.
I totally understand, but
When we learned we weren't in the plan, the males and females were separated. So this is just the ones that have been coming down.
but if they're not selling, why continue to breed? Because they're going to end up in Moab, which is already full here in other counties too. I'm not seeing the business plan. I'm thinking the business plan needs to be
I understand
recreated a
that.
little bit.
How many times have you been to the animal shelter?
Here,
Uh-huh.
quite a lot.
Are there a lot of full-blooded dogs there?
What's the name?
Well, my daughter works at an animal shelter, and they don't get very many full-blooded dogs.
She works at Lumpy County.
And I mean, I'm not trying to get money from this.
I'm just
trying to be that, like, most people who have a full-blooded dog, they keep it for life, because they either pay for it or, I don't know, but a lot of them are large dogs.
My point is, are you continuing to breed knowing that the puppies are not moving right now?
Oh, no, hopefully we have as many dogs as possible separated, you know, according to what room we have, and then we have a list that we're waiting on the rescue to take.
So what breeds do you breed?
We have Yorkies, Pomeranians, Poodles, I think we have a few Shih Tzus.
So those are,
Small breed.
yeah.
All small breeds, yes.
Yeah, but,
Mm-hmm.
so, I mean, my daughter, like she was saying, we have already 100, and if you can't get rid of them, you're sending them to where?
I'm waiting on the rescue to be able to take the adult dogs.
Okay, so we're increasing, all right.
Any other questions? Right now, you have 2 parcels with a dwelling on each parcel, correct? You combine these 2 parcels, now you've got 2 homes on 1 parcel. What's your impression of the county's regulations and allowance to have 2 homes on 1 parcel? Is that okay, or?
Well, they both belong to me, so I didn't think about that.
So you can have as many, you're under the impression you can just have as many?
No, there can only be 4 dwellings on our easement total, and they're there now.
Okay, but on,
No more can be built.
but on your property?
There can't be any more built on the property.
So is one of those accessory buildings?
No, they're both homes.
There weren't accessory dwellings at the time because the two separate. That's where I'm going with this. I'm wondering if you understand that if you have these 2 parcels, have these 2 homes on 1 parcel, one of them has to be designated as a principal dwelling, the other one as an accessory unit, an accessory dwelling. And
The way they're insured is mine is the dwelling and the other is the rental.
So that doesn't make a difference
I did want to add one thing. It's not the number of dwellings, it's the number of parcels that the easement accesses. So you can only access 4. Each parcel could have a dwelling and an accessory dwelling. So in theory, an easement could access 8 dwellings. In the county, it's just the number of parcels. Sorry. Yeah. I want to make sure we were clear on that one.
So the rental is still
An
considered
accessory dwelling.
So yeah,
Yes.
still accessory dwelling.
All right, any additional questions on this one? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Now, so, before I ask for a motion to approve conditions, to deny, whatever, is there any other discussion from the board? And I will begin. The one thing that I struggle with this one is that from a personal standpoint, I'm not real happy with the business part of it. Having that many dogs, that close to neighbors, with that kind of sound, and I have a real problem with that. But on the other hand, I look at this as the rezone request is to rezone the property from A1 to A2. That has absolutely nothing to do with the dogs. I believe And I know we'll have to come back before this board or whatever to get a conditional use. But is it good for the community to allow this to continue the way it is? If we do, we're prolonging either the approval or disapproval of the conditional use. So I myself struggle with that. You know, to be fair to these people, to be fair to the neighbors, to be fair to everybody. And I know that whatever decision we make and present to the commissioners, somebody's not going to be happy. No. But we've got to make some type of decision, some kind of recommendation. So that's kind of where I stand. That's what I'm struggling with at the moment.
I feel like the dog kennel does affect the rezone. And I say that because specifically in section 14.2.4.6, it asks, does this adversely affect living conditions to others? To me, the answer to that is yes. Under section 14.2.4.11, it asks, will this grant a special privilege contrasted with public welfare? To me, the answer is yes. And then in 14.2.4.13, it asks, is it out of scale with the needs of the area and the county? And to me, the answer is yes. So I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay. If you'll hold on to just a second before we do this, I will give you any more discussion on the floor, and then we'll entertain a motion. Okay.
I just want to ask Chris, our lawyer, because this was created as a non-conforming, and if it does, it just remains. If it doesn't pass, it just remains non-conforming.
Yes, that's right. I mean, so remember, zoning is more about uses than lot sizes. So I'm just looking at the map here that's in your packet. So this is that agricultural area that's north of 98. Of course, agricultural can be A1 or A2. A1 is going to be, it's going to be less of A1 because that's your most intensive agriculture. This one happens to be, though, surrounded by A1, so it would certainly make sense that this particular area is one that already is, and you would want to keep as part of those intensive A1 uses and keep available for those. Separate part of the dog kennel issue.
So it just stays non-conforming.
So it just stays A1, and it's a small lot, and again, if it develops, if this is the comp plan, this is the A1 area, eventually people will put those lots to A1 uses regardless of their size.
So she still have to move those buildings, or, because they're not property lines. Okay.
Attic or a fence line, it isn't a structure, so they could continue to, use their horses and their fence line, and a paddock is a structure that has to meet the setbacks.
So the structure has to be.
Make me clear now.
Yes.
They are at this point legally non-conforming.
Not with the dog kennel.
Not with the dog kennel, but
the paddock appears to be there.
Yeah, and I think it's more the A1 is a lawfully non-conforming lot.
Yeah, the size is
lawfully non-conforming.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that
The size.
terminology was correct.
Right.
Ruth?
Yeah, this is one of those things which really is, private property ownership is a hallmark of the United States, and be able to do what you want to with the land that you own. Of course, you have to weigh that with the needs of the community. I appreciate what you said there, Lee, about those, the impact as we've heard on the community. However, in this case, I think that we have an opportunity to continue to push towards protecting our agricultural areas, I think that this moving to an A2 would put it into conformity with the zoning regulations. And I think that at this point, we're the Planning and Zoning Commission. I think that's probably our primary focus is the rezoning. The conditional use that would come along later, I can imagine would, I can see already that there's going to be, a significant condition put on any approval of that, if it gets approved. So it may not get approved. But I think at this point, I feel that the zoning change stands by itself, and the conditional thing is really better addressed by enforcement than it is by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Comments, Stephanie?
I've struggled with trying to separate them also, but I too went to 14.2.4 today and read the criteria, and I do believe that because the end result is the conditional use, that we can treat them as one.
Additional comment? All right, we'll bring it back to the board now, and I will entertain a motion. A motion to approve. A motion to approve with conditions, and those conditions can be whatever you desire, or a motion to deny. Vote now.
Mr. Chairman, before we get the motion, is it possible to say, for example, that conditional would be something that is time sensitive, which is to say, we would approve this with a condition that this must be rectified, or
Conditional use is not incorporated.
You help me with that?
I'm trying to figure out what the condition is.
Yeah.
With the
What
condition
would
that they
be
go through the
rectified?
conditional use, if they pass, they're slated for August for the conditional use.
Well, I mean, but you don't know if that's going to be approved or not.
and that's at the state level.
No. That's it.
Yeah,
Okay,
but,
And then it has to go to the Board of Commissioners a month after that, right? But for the
It'd be the
conditional,
following
Yeah.
one after our P and Z.
it would be September.
yeah, but I'm struggling to see the purpose of the condition, because it's still going to be an illegal operation after, if this rezone is granted. Code enforcement may hold off on enforcing while that conditional uses applications process, but, that's
In
enforcement.
the judicial
Yeah, that's.
and how we work with magistrate court in that one. So long as they're showing progress or trying to come in, we hold off on the legal battle, because the outcome may come from the legislative point of view for how we need to address it. So until we get a condition, or to approve with conditions, or a denial, we have to wait for that legislative body to dictate that to us down, and so long as they're showing progress and trying to do it, it doesn't stand up in court, but to be honest with you. On the state level, their license is good through August 23rd of this year before it has to be renewed. The state and the license through the state is totally separate from the county level. Unless they don't comply with the county level, then it can affect the state licensing if they don't meet local requirements. At this point in time, they are slated for monthly inspections right now. The state identifies their licensed facilities, whether it be commercial, pet, or commercial, on a level of compliance, of high interest, and of urgent interest. So on a regular basis, every facility gets inspected once every 6 months. On a high level for attention, it would be once every 3 months, and on an urgent, it's once a month.
If this rezoned request is just approved essentially, by doing this, we would automatically make it 6 months.
Yeah,
If it's denied.
I can't remember if it's a year or 6 months either, Kevin keeps switching back and forth.
Yeah, they get switching back to the year.
I think
If you
that's right.
withdraw it
It's a
6
year.
months, if it's denied, it's a year. Thank you. That's right.
So essentially this would be, essentially if we disapprove this, it's a year before anything else happens.
Yes.
So they can still operate even we approve of this? No, they can't. So if we.
Because they're out of compliance, they don't have a 10 acres.
But they won't be able to get into compliance.
Correct.
Correct. So, right, it's kind of a, how do you win?
Yeah.
All right?
I would just say again, I don't know if I explained it poorly or if it doesn't matter, but zoning, you don't have to rezone properties just because they don't meet the current minimum acreages. Zoning's about use, not size.
Okay. Very clear. Lee?
Due to the reasons that I've already mentioned, I would, move that we deny this request.
Second.
Got a motion by Lee, a second by Stephanie, that this rezone request be denied. Start the vote with Stephanie.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, yes is to
Yes,
deny.
to deny.
Yes.
Yes, it's to deny.
No.
Based on what I'm hearing and what he just said, I was on borderline, but, I'm saying, yeah.
Yes. It's yes to deny. Okay? Yes.
Yes.
So, therefore, the motion has been made that this rezone request be denied by a vote of 5-1. Ms. Young, as I stated at the beginning, we are a recommending body. This will come before the Board of Commissioners for a final disposition. They can change what we've done. They can accept what we have recommended. They can change it. They can put conditions on it. They can do whatever they want to. So I do suggest that you please show up at that particular meeting so that you can present your case. Well, thank you very much. We'll move on to our next rezone request, which is Andrea Whalen.
Okay. Next up is, as you said, Andrea Whalen, and she is requesting to rezone her 8.37 acres from A2 to AR to bring the lawfully non-conforming property into compliance with current zoning regulations. The property is located at 559 Serenity Lane in Danielsville on map 34, parcel 2, in District 2. And as we had spoken in our business meeting, the end goal here is to, first she has to bring it down to an AR because her end goal is to split two 2-acre tracts, one for her daughter and one for her son. So that would be a total of 3. But in order to do that, we have to move that into the AR zone, and it is actually still grandfathered in.
Correct.
As far as the 2 to 4
For the 2-acre split
ratio.
is concerned.
Yeah.
Okay? Wayland? Wayland? Andrea Wayland, are you present? Is there a representative for Angela Whalen present? Seeing none, hear none. I believe the rule is
I'm gonna make sure nobody.
okay, make sure no matter how, if you don't show up for the first public hearing It is automatically withdrawn.
Okay, we have
That's right.
No one else. All right. Let's move on. Shane Seagrave.
All righty. All right, next up, Shane Seagrave is requesting to rezone his, a 3.83 acre portion of his 18.14 acres from A2 to AR to allow the tract to be split off for a home site for his son. The remaining 14.31 acres will remain in the A2 zone. The property is located at 892 Hannah Creek Church Road in Royston on map 75, parcel 14 in District 4. And also representing is his daughter-in-law, Madison Seagrave. Back here, okay.
Madison, are you the spokesperson?
Yes.
Please come up and state your name and tell us what you're requesting for Shane Seagrave.
I'm Madison Seagrave, I'm Shane's daughter-in-law. We are wanting to rezone 3.83 acres to build a house on it for me and my husband back there. I think it's going to A2. Yeah, no, A2 to AR.
Correct.
That's it.
That's it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you have any questions, we'll call you back.
Thank you.
Is anybody here that wants to speak for this particular rezone request? Anyone wants to speak for this particular rezone request? Hearing none, anybody here wants to speak in opposition? Anyone here will speak in opposition? Hearing none. Does any board members have any questions for Ms. Seagrave? If not, I will bring it back to the board for entertain a motion.
Question, the tract that they're talking about cutting off is not, there's no access, direct access from the road.
Ms. Seagrave, please come back up.
And I'll say this one was a two-step process. We approved the other one last month that it took her from A1 to A2 to get her into compliance. I forgot to mention that.
If we had a survey done with an easement shown on the survey, do you have the new one?
Yeah. Is that easement right there?
On the very, right there on the, that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen it.
If you pull in the driveway to that front property, it just goes straight back.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? Thank you, ma'am. With that, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the board and I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
I'm a motion by Cynthia, do I get a second?
Second.
Second by Bruce. Any further questions or comments? If not, Bruce? Yes.
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 Ms. Seagrave, you are approved. And as I stated before, we're recommending body, so therefore, I would suggest that you do show up for the second public hearing.
Thank you.
All right, moving forward, number 4.
All right, number 4. We've got on the docket Barry Lord, applicant for Terry Busey, is requesting to rezone his 9 acres from A1 to AR to bring the lawfully non-conforming property into compliance with current zoning regulations and to allow a 2-acre portion be split off for a home site for his wife's parents. The property is located at 1226 Highway 29 North in Danielsville on map 66, parcel 15 in District 2.
All right. Lloyd or BC, please come forward.
We're the parents.
Please come forward and state your name or sign in if you haven't. And please tell us what your request.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
We're new to this process, so please forgive us for any mistakes. We're the parents of Tyler Busey's,
What?
yeah. That. And,
What's your name? Can you say your
oh, I'm
name?
sorry, I'm Thomas Elliott,
No, I'm Susie Elliott or Patricia Elliott.
and so we had planned to just build a retirement cottage on a small part of their property. They asked us to come and live with them, and so that's what we're thinking about doing, just building a small cottage for the two of us. Little 1-bedroom, 1.5 bath home.
Tom had recently gone through cancer treatments and stuff, and so they wanted us to be close.
This is supposed to be our retirement home.
Okay. Let me reverse this. Do you have any questions for these people before I open this to the public hearing?
When you say cottage, I just want to, do you know that there's a certain size that cottage has to be in Madison County?
I'm sorry, I'm hard of hearing.
Oh. I said, do you know that you have to have a certain size of a cottage? It has to be at least 400.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Well, it's
yeah.
not going to be a tiny home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I had one question when I went by there. I was kind of wondering, I see the original house is there. I was kind of wondering where is the proposed second house, and how about the driveway?
The driveway extends actually well past the house, and there's a defunct chicken barn on the left, and then the road continues all the way back through the property, back to the adjoining property, which belongs to his father. So it's all the big, I don't know, show it anyway, it runs all the way to the back of the property. The site that we're looking at is roughly 2 football fields back from the house that they have.
In other words, both houses will be using the same driveway?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're trying to economize. They have 2 wells on the property, both are producing. We plan to upgrade one of the wells and use that for water service.
All right, any additional questions? Hearing none, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we will open the public hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak for this rezone request? Anyone here wants to speak for it? Hearing none, is anyone here want to speak in opposition? Anyone here want to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing, and I'll bring it back to the board for any comments or a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A motion by Kenneth to approve. Second by Cynthia. Any discussion? If not, Cynthia.
Yes.
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 Yes. 5-0 to approve. 6, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Again, even though it was approved, we are a recommending body, so I suggest that you do show up at the public hearing.
Yes.
You don't have to, but I would recommend that you do.
Thank you very much.
All right, number 5.
Number 5 is Michael Carroll. He is requesting to rezone 2 of his 27.48 acres containing his daughter's existing home from A2 to AR to allow it to be split off and gifted to her. The remaining 25.48 acres will remain in the A2 zone. The property is located at 5341 Paoli Road in Carlton on map 96, parcel 50 in District 4.
All right. Michael Carroll.
Yes, sir.
State your name and sign in if you haven't, and tell us what you're requesting.
My name is Mike Carroll. About 4 years ago, when my daughter was about to go to college, I built her house on the back side of my property, rather than letting her rent somewhere in Athens. So she's been there about 4 years, I think. Now she's married, got a grandyoung'un, and I just soon just give her a couple acres and let her stay close, let her grow her family there, if possible.
All right. Any questions for Ms. Carroll?
So her house is already,
Yes, sir. She's been there about 4 years. I built it about 4 years ago.
Any other questions? Not, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Open the public hearing. Is there anyone that wants to speak for this particular rezone request? So where? Please come forward. State your name.
So where, supposedly, I live across the street. My name is David, 5480 Pelt. Supposedly, where is the second house on this property at? I'm just curious, what on it's the corner.
Can you restate your name for her, please?
David, O-U-T-E-N. Is it the corner lot we're talking about? I'm trying to picture where this second house is. Is it way, way back where it can't be seen? I know there's a big white house on top of the hill.
Just a moment, she'll pull it up for you.
All right, let me go to that site plan here. All right. So here is his house.
All right, so that is the one that's right now upward to the left there. Now, from what I'm seeing, they built probably a year or two ago, maybe less than or more, and now they've got another yellow sign, a green sign up there. They're adding on. So that's the little house there right now. Okay. That's where that was up, because I'm saying over, if it's within the borderline, there's another road that goes down there that I'll get to the historical site that I saw the other day riding my bicycle. There's a lot of old cemeteries and stuff that's inside. Okay, that's where that one is. They're adding. They built a little tiny house there, and now they're actually adding. Okay, because I'm just worried about it. I enjoy my privacy, peace and quiet in the corner. For years and years, I didn't want somebody to drop a house right there in the corner, and I got all this traffic, noise, and chaos and everything. Okay, but that's the one, that little B. Okay.
All right.
Thank you,
sir. Is there anyone else in opposition? Anyone else in opposition? If not, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for any kind of consideration and a motion.
I make a motion that we approve this rezoning request.
A motion by Stephanie, second by Lee, that this rezone request be approved. Any additional comments? Not Ken?
yes.
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 6-0 to approve. Sir, this is approved. Again, it will go before the Board of Commissioners, so I suggest that you come to the next public hearing.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 6, Ricardo Perez.
Yes, he is requesting to rezone his 5 acres from A2 to business to build a structure to house his wife's real estate office and to be used for a small-scale event hall. The property is located at 3021 Lim Edwards Road in Culvert on map 46, parcel 13601 in District 3.
Mr. Perez, please come forward. Sign in if you haven't, and let us know what you would like for us to consider.
That doesn't work, so.
No, it'll work. Okay. All right, well, I'd like to,
Hi, my name is Myra Garcia, and I'm Ricardo's wife.
Okay.
I would like to, ask the board to consider to rezone the property, so me and my wife can, have basically almost like a second, office as well, office space as well.
We currently work out of our home, so we would like to have an office where we can separate home from business. And
I do have a small power plant as well.
Okay, would you like to
Yeah.
look at that? Check it out. I don't need a second. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. I know, right?
it's the 3021.
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, basically rezone it from I think it's A2 right now,
Mhm.
to business. And the second slide. So the second slide, what it would be used for, like I said, it would be for office, storage, like our files and stuff, her clients, my management team and what I do. And, company meetings, community events, for our, for our family and our management team, again, for that. And then the hours of operation, for the business would be from 8 to 11:30 p.m. And the third slide, so we understand that we don't want, some industrial look type of building. We want to keep the farm style, so that way, since Madison County is basically country, and we have 5 acres to kind of make it look that way, and that's how I wanted to kind of build the office and the building. Another picture, and landscape. To improve the property as well, I want to put a privacy fence and privacy trees around the property line. I don't want to pave again. I'm trying to keep it, country. I want to put gravel driveway, a gravel parking, and dumpster for trash disposal and all that. And the sixth is more of the layout of how I would want to do the building and develop it. Any questions?
All right, any questions for the applicant? Just real quickly, that shows the privacy fence there.
Yeah, the dotted, if you can see the dotted, it's bigger than the smaller ones, but along where the trees are at, the privacy trees, that's basically where the privacy fence could go.
The rest will be hot wire.
Yeah, the rest would just be hot wire, because it opens a lot more in the back, which, we're just going to use the front.
The event hall, what do you envision as being the maximum occupancy there?
I would say max 100, but 50 to 100 around there. So something small, like I said, this would be like celebrating, the management, families, birthdays, small things, small scale stuff like that. That we can get used for, since we already have, if we're going to do it. I would like to go ahead and present it to you guys, that down the road, I would like to do that as well. You know, for the main purpose of this is for us to have basically a second headquarters.
I was kind of confused because on here it says shop, and it looks like you got a shop with a garage door. You was going to do some kind of business or a shop business or something?
No, shop, no.
Event. I mean, on here it says shop.
Well, the building, the kind of the look of it, kind of, you see if you can go back on the picture.
Yeah.
You can call it a shop, but that's what I was trying to refer to that as but it's more like a barn. Yeah, barn, yeah, kind of type of style.
And it's going to be 60 by 50?
Yeah.
So you're going to have 2 offices?
Basically, I mean, yeah, it's going to be kind of
Well, we're
integrated.
trying to move from our home to like one location for business.
Again, it'll just be us though. It's like just management. It's not like full-time, full-blown employees. No, it's none of the direct report is just for like our management.
So you kind of purchased this property a long time ago and decided you wanted to use it as
Correct.
a business?
Correct.
Even though you see a lot, the business is more further down the road.
Well, I do have another to consider as well. If you guys could, there is a property next to mine that's adjacent to
3115.
Yeah, 3115 Limerick Road. No,
That's also a business.
that's also business, but that's like they have trailers, cars, and I mean, it's like a whole thing. I'm not trying to.
They're on
do
our
all-
business corridor. That's all the business corridor.
Okay.
This is
Yeah.
1 block
Oh,
off.
thank you.
Yeah, this is further down in more residential.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 72 feet.
That was gonna be my question. Do you have equipment or stuff you're gonna be
No.
parking there? Because you do have, I mean, the shop is somewhat towards the front of the lot. So you have a big area.
Well, it's about, it's about 200 feet away from the road. So no, it's not, there won't be equipment on that side. Like I said, it's just probably 2 cars out there, there, so. And then, you know, like on a Friday or Saturday, we like to celebrate, you know, have something. That's what it is.
How about the parking for the event hall?
Mm-hmm.
You said about 100?
Yeah,
cars?
in that 100, no, not 100 cars, probably 50 cars probably.
Have you considered, when I was there today looking at it, and I was looking at Lim Evans Road was kind of narrow, and getting out of Lim Evans into 72, again, is, I had a hard time getting in there, and I was there, this is the middle of the day. So, you know, I guess my question, have you considered that? Have you looked at that?
Well, it'd be
You think that's
just
gonna be a
like,
problem?
the thing is, here's the thing, since I'm trying to emphasize the small, because I'm saying that may be the max that I would want, but it's just like me having a regular birthday party if I had a regular house there. Same thing. If I call up all my family, all my friends, that's what I'm trying to, you know, go for. So it will be the same thing. I'm not trying to have foot traffic every day. It's not something that I'm over here having employees come every day. It's not going to be an everyday thing. So it's only, you know, like on a weekend thing or something. Just like if a regular event, if I want to have a barbecue, same thing.
Okay, I do understand what you're saying, but I don't necessarily agree with you the same thing, because you don't have birthdays every week. You know, you can have something every weekend. You can have something every weekend if, if this is allowed.
Yeah, every weekend, not every week, every weekend.
So, you know, that's just
every weekend.
my question. Yes.
I just want to point out that if it is rezoned to business, that you can't operate later than 11.
Right.
And I know on your plan you had 11:30.
Yeah, I figured it was around there, but no later than 11.
Correct.
Yeah, the noise ordinance.
And then also with the structure, you would, in a business zone, you have to submit plans to the chief building inspector, and there are landscape requirements with that. I know y'all have an idea in mind. I just want to make sure that that's out for everybody. There would be landscaping requirements as well as parking requirements in place.
Going back to what you were saying, you said now it's 8 to 11 now. But have you considered any neighbors as far as, you know, you're saying event hall, I'm saying event hall, if you have weddings and all like that. How are you going to muffle the noise and stuff?
Well,
that you
based
have
on the construction, we will make sure that we can reduce the noise as much as possible and insulate the building as much as possible.
Did you answer the question about parking?
The parking?
You know, for events, you're gonna have 100 people, you're gonna have cars of maybe.
Yeah, on the PowerPoint, you can kind of see, we try to put like a layout of
I can pull up
where the
his
park
drawing.
will be.
Yeah.
I don't have the PowerPoint in, but I can pull up your slide plan that you had submitted. I'm sorry, for the scrolling guys, I just have to get to it. A lot of documents on this one. All right. There we go.
So the parking would be right there in front. I mean, obviously we have 5 acres. I mean, there's not, it's not like on an acre. You see, we got plenty of room. If it doesn't even, if people don't, you know, if we don't want to see it, we can always have so much room in the back to do it as well.
When did you purchase this property?
About 2 years ago.
And did you purchase it with this in mind, to make as an investment to put this business on it? Or what was your original reason for purchasing the property?
Well, the original reason is because we don't have an actual location for us. And right now we're operating at our house, and that's what kind of, you know, inspired me.
Yeah,
you know what, this
plan.
is something, it's nice, it's 5 acres, it's real, you know, country, and, you know, we can have something like that similar and kind of build it out that way and have small for our family, you know, and for our management team to celebrate here and there on the weekends.
So did you consider that was A2 at the time, and business was in the quarter on 72?
Yes.
We did, but as well, we saw the, I didn't know about.
We saw potential to
do that.
try to do this in the future when we bought it. So, I mean, right now, this is the moment where we're ready to make that step, so that's why we're here today. Also, I know you had some concerns about getting there. I know the location, like when you put it in the GPS, it doesn't take you directly there. So we would obviously put, you know, like a sign on the road with a mailbox, so that way people know if I'm meeting a client or something, or someone, like one day, people will know where to go to.
So, considering signage, now, what kind of signage are you considering for, because that's...
Something like on the mailbox, maybe like do a nice mailbox and
Just
put
like
the
the mail,
number
just
and
small.
the
No, I mean for real estate now.
Mhm.
I do real estate
Well,
too. You have a real estate sign up there saying your company and everything.
Well, my plan is to become my own broker, so I wouldn't necessarily put like a big sign. It will just be like me directly to my clients. They will know who I am.
Yeah, like saying for me, it would be just basically manage, you know, that's management team.
So you're not going to have any kind of signage telling people what kind of company you are or
Not
your location. I mean, you're doing real estate. You have your real estate sign out there saying such and such real estate and, you know.
Yes, but probably on the building, not on the outside.
There's no sign near roadage or anything.
No, I wouldn't make it like too commercial or industrial.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It would be commercialized.
Yeah, we wouldn't do it.
Well, if it's approved, then I guess I will be allowed.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I mean,
saying.
make it much as you want. You know,
Right.
On the building, you don't have a design to have them roll up doors on the building or just completely enclosed, one or two doors on it?
Do I have sorry, I didn't understand.
The roll up doors on the, building, the picture you gave, you had a couple of roll up doors on it.
Yeah.
Would you have them on the building?
No, probably not.
Be complete with two, you'd have to have, if you have vents in there, you'd have to have entrance and exit.
Yeah, probably like a 2-door or something.
2 doors.
That was just a,
It's just
just a sample.
like a
So it's
sample
gonna be just
to
2
kind of,
doors in it, no roll-up doors or nothing. If you had parties in there, you couldn't open doors and the music blare out.
Right, yeah, 'cause that's like I said, that's on the construction part, that's what I was trying my best to prevent, especially the landscape barrier.
yeah, once we're, ready, if we get approved, we'll have a plan drawn up with the,
That's what he said.
yeah, with,
With our landscape architect or our engineer that will do it.
With any business or industrial building, the
Correct.
county plans have to be submitted to the chief building inspector.
All right, is there some questions? Not, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will now open the public hearing. Is there anyone that wants to speak in favor of this rezone request? Is there anyone here wants to speak in favor? Yes, sir. Come up, state your name and,
My name is Billy Bridges. I own the property that's in front of that and right next door to it. And I think this is America. They all be able to do whatever they want to. I don't have any opposition to that, and I just want to let it be known. I think I listened to their plan. I like it. You know, I think it's fine. That's all I got to say.
Your property is where?
Pardon?
Your property is where?
3059. It's right here. I think I'm pointing it right.
Are you right? I see you back there.
Now, are you the property that is being remodeled?
Pardon?
Are you the property that's being remodeled?
No, we probably need to.
Also, because I know directly across the county category, there's a remodeling, house being remodeled,
No.
and then you're the.
No, this is a little white house. If you turn on William Edwards
Yeah.
from 72,
Right.
you go past those trailers, they're a fence, and then this house is the next thing you come to.
Oh,
The little white house is a creek right there,
yeah.
kind of a dry creek. It runs on that property. That property runs up to the property that's, just where those trailers are.
So you're not the one directly next to the property?
Next to it, yes, ma'am.
You're directly next to, okay.
Directly next to it and kind of in front of it. Did I pull the wrong one?
No, I just brought up a bigger one.
Yeah,
So it'd be Highway 72.
yeah.
coming over.
And you actually live there?
No. No, I live on down William Edwards.
Does someone live there?
Yes, sir.
Oh, but I,
Just rental.
oh, okay, because I thought I didn't see anybody.
Yeah, it's
I
a
went out
rental. They've got one car that's been there for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it runs.
So, but somebody does live there?
Yes, ma'am. There's a lady and her 2 children.
Oh, okay.
Are we allowed
all
to
right,
ask
well,
questions? Oh,
just a minute, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
So did they make any comments about this?
Well, I've not really talked to them. I ran into her boyfriend who does not live there, is what they tell me. And he said, the only comment he said is the sign blew down over their yard and they thought I was fixing to sell. I was fixing to open a real estate company. So I think they were glad to find out they were, because she really likes living there.
all right, sir, any additional comments?
That's it.
Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to speak for this rezone request? Please come forward.
How you guys doing today?
Good.
Good.
Your name?
My name is Julian Perez. I'm Ricardo's younger brother, and I am part of his management team as well. And we would like to get this approved so that way I don't have to go to his house all the time to work out of there. And we have the way he has it set up. And we're willing to do whatever it takes to work to get it up to code and have it work that way. And we think it's a great spot and something that we desperately want and need.
When you say management team, what kind of business?
So we do landscaping, we do all kinds of landscaping and stuff like that. And we just sit in the office and
Real estate as well.
And market and all kinds of stuff. So.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wants to speak for this rezone request? Hearing none. Now, is there anyone wants to speak in opposition Please come forward one at a time and state your name and what you'd like to say to us.
All right, I'm Jeremy Chapman. I live at the property on the left on the screen. Opposite side from the gentleman that was just up here. That's probably it. But I'm one of the small farms we got in that area, in that agricultural land, and I built that farm, started 3 years ago by myself as a remedy. I'm a disabled veteran, and from wounds I sustained in Afghanistan, they told me the best cure for my injury is to work with animals and build a farm. There's veteran farms, and that was told to me from the VA. So I went out and built a farm, and for peace, be able to take care of stuff, heal. Completely opposed to having first of all, I don't understand why you need to rezone to have family over. Have family over all the time. There's no reason to rezone. Second of all, it's not going to be agriculture. Even if you put up a fall barn, it doesn't make it agriculture. So, and you know, they appreciate the agricultural area, just like the neighbor next to me. I'm watching his farm right now. We're really neighborly, like farmers do. He's taking his wife on a Mother's Day trip to the lake. Called me about this, said he didn't like it either. Told me how to show up. So my 2 cents is, I don't want 100. Did anybody mention the fact that it's going to be BYOB? 100 drinking folks right next door to me while I'm trying to farm all my animals and everything else. Don't like it. You mentioned the business corridor. I don't know why it can't be done there, you know, and I really don't want, no farmer's going to want 100 drinking people over here, you know, and why would it need to be rezoned for family to come by and barbecue? I have my family, friends, plenty of them, all I need. And zoning doesn't stop by and tell me that I need to zone it as a business to have functional family gatherings, and we've never had to do that with our family reunions. We've had plenty of people there, tons of food, everything else. But the thing is, it's the farms providing that food, and the more we lose farmland, it never gets taken back. They don't ever take a business and make it a farm. Take a farm and make it a business. It never goes the other way, so you never really get it back. The more it pushes down through there, you know, we got to feed everybody, you know, and parties and they ain't gonna do it, you know. So I'll be humanly, and I talked to my neighbors. They all disagree. Don't see a point in it. I'm all about freedom as well. I fought for everybody's freedom, but I got to look out for mine too, and I think I deserve peace. And in the report also, I'm pretty sure it said that they're going to be partying from 6 p.m. every day. In the report they submitted, it said 6 p.m. every day and all day weekends and BYOB. So I don't think they're being honest with you either. So that's all I got to say about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. You have a question for him? Yes, sir. Yeah. He had a question for you, please.
Yeah. First of all, yeah, I really appreciate your service.
Oh, no problem.
How much, I didn't catch, how many acres do you have?
I've got right about 6.5, 7, 7 acres. And five, almost 6 acres.
And what is your farm?
We got sheep, we got ducks, we got geese, and we got chickens. Yeah.
Thanks.
Good.
All right. Thanks, sir.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak in opposition? Please come forward.
Are we allowed to ask a question?
Big pardon?
If we have a question, I mean, I'm not speaking for or in opposition, but I have a question.
We'll give you an opportunity.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, my name is Susan Kelly, and I live at 3152 Lee Edwards Road, which is basically catty corner from the property in question. A few years ago, this said property came to the commission because the people wanted to build a house. They was turned down because they said the land was too narrow to put a house or a trailer on. And this was a few years back. Okay. Now, if you rezone this to this so-called party house or whatever you want to call it. Besides the extra traffic, this is family oriented in this area, and it is all agriculture. I have animals myself. I also have the small pond right there by the road. I have ducks that fly everywhere. They like to roam. I can't fence them in. Who's to say, they get out on the road, get run over. I've got cows, I've got horses, I've got goats, I've got chickens, goose, pigs. I mean, I've got a little bit of everything on our farm. And it's basically for our kids so that they will know how to raise meat and take care of themselves in the future, if need be. We have fruit trees that we do. We also grow vegetables as well. I teach my kids how to can, do everything that they need to learn. Okay, you start bringing people in. The road is narrow at this point until last year when the commission approved to cut down all of our trees along the road to expand 1 foot on each side of the road, which has opened up another can of worms. The people coming in is not going to have any respect for our land. We'll be picking up trash and whatever else. Also, if they're down there partying and drinking and everything, and they leave, say, midnight or whatever, who's to say they're not going to run over your mailbox or somebody else, trying to get out on the highway? Let's see. Also, with gun violence anymore and people carrying guns, who's to say they don't get in an argument over something stupid while they're down there partying? And then we have a shootout down there. I mean, this is going to be putting a strain on Madison County deputies trying to protect the other citizens in the area and to protect the party goers from themselves. Let's see. And the noise levels, that's going to be ridiculous. I mean, most of us in the area, we don't bother anybody. We stay to ourselves usually. Usually by 11 o'clock, I'm gone to bed. And I don't want to hear music and whatever else going right down across the drive, basically, all night until 11:30 or whenever they decide to stop. And then the parking. There's not going to be adequate parking on that area to house that many vehicles is what they're saying. They're going to have 100 people or whatever. And the problem with the smells and everything else, because our animals, they put off some rotten smells. And so, I mean, it's not the prettiest of areas. I mean, they could go anywhere else that has businesses already built where they would be able to have their party and things. Just like that building up there at Fred's, it sat empty for all this time. That would have been a perfect place for a real estate office, plus they could have had a party venue in there as well, right there on the highway. And, and this buying the land, the farmland, cheap, and then wanting to flip it into a business. I mean, this has got to stop, because sooner or later, we're not going to have any agriculture land left. And I worked for the agriculture department for 35 years, and I know the different things that goes on. That I hope and pray that you guys see our side of it and turn these people down. I don't know them, but there's other places that they could have a real estate agent and a party house.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else want to speak in opposition?
Yeah.
Please come forward.
Except my foot just went to sleep. Okay. Are we allowed to ask questions of people that were in pro of this? I was just wondering, because...
No, ma'am, all you need to do is speak to us, tell us your opposition, and we will consider what you...
The property next door that, this property they're wanting to rezone, it actually has been a rental property since I've been there, and that's like 15 years. And, so whoever's living in that house at the moment, and they've only been there a little while, they're renters. It's not the person that said that, he lives in...
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Could you please hold it down where we can hear, please? Thank you.
Okay, and, I was also gonna say that 50% of his property, the one that he wants to rezone, is all wooded right now. It's densely wooded. So if he wants to utilize that property as it is, he's only got maybe at the most 2.5 acres that he could actually put all those cars, these buildings, and all the people that he's wanting to put in there. And then I also have a question of whether or not he said the building was going to be soundproofed, which is well and fine, but if their parties are outside, soundproofing doesn't do anything. That's just my personal opinion. And we do farm. We farm bees, poultry, sheep, and that will grow. The bees I'm concerned about because our bees are on the edge of our property, and if somebody comes down there mowing or parking or bumping up against the fence or whatever else, it's very likely they'll get stung, if they start riling up bees for no reason, especially with a lot of noise, because bees don't like noise. We also have a 165-pound LGD that protects our property. And and he is a good dog, well-trained, but he protects the property, and if somebody inadvertently comes over there and decides they want to pet him or whatever, and he perceives him as a threat, then they get bit. And he's a Kangal. He's got the strongest bite force in the world if you look it up. But I mean, that's a real danger that we could be liable for. So, and then most importantly, it is ag land, and I really support ag land. There's been millions of acres that have been lost just in the last few years, but essentially 175 acres of farm and ranch land are lost every hour. This could be another 5 acres that goes to that, losing more ag land. And ag land is important. This property, it endangers our quality of life. I can't imagine where anybody wants this kind of noise in an ag residential neighborhood, essentially from what he says, 24/7. And then it bothers me that spot zoning business into a rural area is going to eventually destroy that area. We fought in 2019 not to have that corner up there rezoned from A2 to business. Now then they said that was part of the business quarter. This property is not part of that business quarter unless we keep spot zoning or spot zoning properties all the way down. And then we're on. So there is a comprehensive plan that was adopted. It was carefully considered by steering committees, residents, commissioners, all paid for with taxpayer dollars. They were created to support and balance both business and agriculture. And spot zoning areas outside of the business corridor is irresponsible, contradictory to the desires and input of the Madison residents they ask us for an input on comprehensive plan. I'm not a public speaker. They asked us for our input. We gave it to them. There is a plan. It's been adopted. It needs to be followed. Those are our dollars that paid for it. We live in a quiet ag residential community. That's already been said. We don't want the noise. We don't want the traffic. We don't want the crime that's interspersed with spot zoning businesses. Mr. President knew the property was zoned A2 when he bought it. His application does not conform with the intention of a business corridor. His property is located in an ag residential area that is designated protected per the Madison County Character Map in the comprehensive plan. It's out of sync with the area as it is, and the worst part is the BYOB. He stated he was going to do BYOB. That is just backdooring alcohol into a business in an ag residential neighborhood that's bound to cause problems. I'm concerned with if you're at a bar, the bartender monitors you and can take your keys, but who's going to monitor that? And in addition to that, what about the minors? Are there going to be minors that get in there? Are they going to, who's going to monitor their drinking or getting into a car with a drunk driver? And I know families that have been killed and left orphan children from drunk drivers, and then piling out, whenever they pile out, onto these roads, like Mr. Scott said, it's hard to get out there on 72. Imagine if you've been drinking all day. So, I don't like the idea of backdooring in alcohol. I think it's irresponsible. I think if it's approved, then it's going to basically approve irresponsible driving and drinking on Madison County roads. The beauty and purpose of our community is what draws people out, and maintaining the charm and pastoral beauty was and is a key concern of Madison County residents. It's also included in the comprehensive plan. And I know we don't have a vote, but I think you've heard many people, and hopefully many more people have contacted you, written letters and everything else to say, no, this is not the direction we want our community to go. We don't want a business just dropped in there and told that you're going to live with it. So, and if it's approved, I'd like a conditional survey or a condition put in, and that you will have to share the survey. We've got fence up. We left a substantial buffer on the other side of that fence. And so basically, the way we have it set up with our other neighbor, there's like 4 foot there, and that way we can mow, we can walk down it, do whatever we need to between the farms. So if he decides to put a fence up, we need to be able to see that survey to know that he's not actually using our land. I'm done.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Your name, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's Vicki Harris. One with the big mouth.
Thank you, Miss Vicki.
Thank you.
All right, you got
I'm not going to ask it. Thank you.
Okay. All right, anyone else in opposition? All right, in fairness, Mr. Perez, you've heard a lot of issues. Do you have a rebuttal that you want to address any of these?
Yeah.
And then we'll take a vote.
So I keep hearing, and I think it's just a mistake on my part, but the hours of operation is what I meant. Not partying, obviously, from 8 to 11. That's, like I said, we're getting tied up on the party. And this is more, like I said, in the future. This is not, I want to rezone for that purpose only. The purpose here is for, again, for management, second headquarters for us, well, not second, our first headquarters, and to let the community know that I am all for keeping the peace and keeping the noise and doing what I can and being in compliant with the county and the noise and trying to do my best to help everybody understand what I'm trying to do.
Okay. All right.
Can I ask one more question? I'm sorry. He brought up, I think, did you say you're in landscaping? So I think someone asked, you're not going to be keeping your equipment on that land?
Correct, no.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
I have a question for our attorney before we proceed to
Yes, sir.
Well, we can approve unconditionally, or we can approve with conditions.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this is just for my clarification. They're asking for basically 2 things. One is to rezone the property so they can operate a business for her real estate business to get it out of the home. The other is to use together as an event hall. Okay.
And I think there's also storage.
And storage, right.
Yeah, well, that's more like files and stuff like that.
Oh, so that's related to the office.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Signage,
It's not yet.
assuming like real estate signage.
Yeah, correct.
Would the event hall fall under a conditional use?
This is for a rezone of B and it's permitted use.
Permitted use. Yeah. Unless the rezone has conditions. Right?
Yeah, well, an event hall is a permitted use in a B, so if you grant the rezone, it's not a conditional use, it's a permitted use. Okay.
That's one thing that I'm gonna, sorry to interrupt, but that's, to be clear on the permitted as well. Like I said, because I saw that it was permitted, and to be honest, because I think somebody claimed I was being dishonest about that, which I'm not, because I could have just came in here and just asked one office storage and that's it. So I'm trying to speak within the future and be honest what I'm trying to do.
Okay, Bruce? Just a quick question. One, the comprehensive plan is not approved at this point.
Well, it's submitted to the state, I think, or will be shortly, so it's, and
I think we're headed that way.
yeah, I mean, it will be approved.
Can I ask a question about the business corridor there? Now, is that, how well delineated is that? Because I kind of thought it more as a kind of this area kind of thing. Is it strictly if you're fronting on Highway 72?
What is not, sorry. In that character area, that is a conversation that's come up where a zoning map, let's say if we did go out to that third party, that'd be something we could request of them.
Right.
Unless I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, character areas, so your comprehensive plan is not defined to that level of granularity, as they say. It's, right, it's not a parcel by parcel thing. So, you could look at this and sort of try to extrapolate its, you know, perhaps on the edge of that business corridor. If it's not in the business corridor, then it's in the South Madison County character area, which says it is planned to be a primarily residential and commercial retail growth area of the county. Undeveloped and underdeveloped areas are available for youth development and redevelopment.
But if you read at the top of that, it says future 2042, I think, in that. In the, on what he's looking at on the comp plan. It's
Because they're looking at a 20-year plan.
It's a 20-year
20-year
plan.
every 5 years.
It's a gradual plan, not a, right here, 2042.
Can I just ask, since he's looking at this, character map, that property is in a protected area according to that character map.
Well, they won't until they come into.
Well, ma'am, I do believe, and if I can address your point, is that there's a lot of stuff in there that's undefined, that's left up to interpretation of whoever's looking at it or whatever. So we got a lot of growing pains to do with that comprehensive plan. It's kind of like the Bible. You pick out this portion and you can make it sound like you want this to sound, and it's not exactly that way. So, you know, with that being said, I can't interpret it, and I don't think there's anybody in this room can interpret all of it we've gone through. We're going to suffer growing pains going through this.
Yes, sir.
So, I think we've had quite a bit of discussion. We've heard the applicants, what they want, what they say that they're going to do. We've heard people that's in opposition that don't want this. It's up to us to make some kind of recommendation to the Board of Commissioners. Now, again, the Board of Commissioners have a final say, but it's up to us to listen to both sides and to decide. So therefore, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for the board to make a decision.
Do you have
That being
time?
said,
Can I ask a quick question? maybe Mike, if this is rezoned to B,
Yes, sir.
then I know what their intention is, but from that point forward, anything that is permitted under B could go in there.
That's correct.
Yes, sir. Yeah, but I mean, but you're always, and probably should use that a lot more, especially on commercial rezones, is, you can always do a rezone to be, condition that uses are restricted to office and event hall. So you're picking those two out of the permitted uses.
I had the same question, because Mr. Perez may have good intentions, but what if he sold that property and another business came in? It's his own business, they can, that's the concern I have there.
I think that's what happened.
You have a comment?
No, I was gonna make
Oh. Any other comments from the board? We're back up here now.
It seems that most of them opposing have a problem with the event hall. I would hate for you not to be able to use your property, and I don't even know if you would be okay with it. We could put a condition that it be office space, used for office space only, and not for the event hall, correct? Like,
Sure.
'cause I'm not sure if anybody would oppose just the office space. So we could put a condition on that for no, not the event hall.
That would be up to the board to make that recommendation. And that's up to us. We can say whatever and present it to the commissioners. And then, again, they make the final decision. So we need to consider all of these things. And ma'am, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I understand the comprehensive plan, and I understand that everybody has their own interpretation of it.
Right,
So,
can I just say one more thing though? This is ag land.
We understand that.
Right.
We've heard
And
that.
when they did that up there, it's also on this side of the railroad tracks. When you've got a business quarter, you want easy access to it. And in 2019, they basically steamrolled us with that property that they took from ag to business.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
I
and we
understand.
just don't want that running down our road.
I understand. It's back here now. Thank you so much for your comment.
This is one of those classic, rights for private property owner. We've made a considerable investment in this, and there's a lot of money tied up in it, and then the inconvenience for the neighbors. Is it appropriate to move at this point, Mr. Chairman? I'd like to make a motion.
Unless someone else has up here has a comment, or we're ready to entertain a motion.
well, can I say something before he makes that motion?
Well, that's what I said. Well, last,
Yeah,
make a comment.
makes a difference. And, Ms. Perez, I respect you as a real estate agent, because I'm one too. And the first thing they teach us is location, location, location in real estate. And if I was to take my client somewhere, I would take them to the business area for zoning, if I wanted to put a business. And according to this, it's more agricultural. And I understand you have a right to buy your land and do whatever you want, but there was you kind of knew that you might or might not, when you go into agriculture and try to change the result. So for that, that's what I'm wanting to say, that, that's the first thing you look at, location, location, location when you're buying.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll close everything now. We're ready for entertainment motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the request of the conditions that businesses be limited to office space and event hall with a maximum occupancy of no more than 100 people.
We'll have a motion by Bruce. Do I get a second? I have a motion by Bruce to approve the event hall and the real estate office and for storage space. Do I get a second? Do I get a second? With the lack of second, the motion is dead. Do I have a different motion?
I make a motion that this is not, due to the fact that you're trying to relocate a business into agricultural, and we have a business quarter was set up by the county. And like I said, it's location. If you want a business, I would want it on a business quarter where I could, my business would be shown, and so I would be respectful.
Okay, that's my motion. All right, Jackie, I have a motion that we deny the request to go from, I believe it's A1 to B.
A2.
A2 to B. I get a second. A motion by Cynthia.
I'll second.
And a second by Lee, that this rezone request be denied. Is there any other comments or?
While I welcome business into this county, I just don't think it's the right location.
Okay. Motion's on the floor, but do have one comment. The motion is to deny. Would you entertain a motion or a to approve the real estate and storage and not the event?
No.
It would still be a business.
Yeah, you can make a substitute motion if you want to, Mr. Chairman, see if you get a second.
I'm not sure on that.
I understand. We need to tell the audience the public hearing is over.
The public hearing is over.
Can I ask a question on that, Link, before you, would that go along if the property was sold?
Yeah, it only goes to the
property.
That's just for your consideration before we vote. If anyone would like to make a substitute a motion to that effect, if not, we'll move on. Well, you think so? We have a motion to deny by Cynthia and second by Lee. This is on me. No. Lee?
Yes.
Yes.
Bruce? No.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. 4-2. All right. The motion is carried that we deny the rezone request. Mr. Ms. Perez, we will recommend to the Board of Commissioners now, but there is a second hearing before the Board of Commissioners. The Board of Commissioners have the final say. We do not. We only make a recommendation. So I do ask that you be here. And I also ask that those in opposition, please show up and let the commissioners hear your opposition. And they will have the final say and make the final decision. All right, moving on to our next, number 7.
Okay, next up, Joyce Christian, applicant for her daughter Angela Schubert, is requesting to rezone her 9.13 acres of her property from A2 to AR to bring the lawfully non-conforming property into compliance with zoning regulations and to allow a 2-acre split for an additional home site for a family member. The property is located at 400 Charlie Morris Road in Colbert on map 58, parcel 16 in District 5.
All right, Christian,
I'm her daughter, I'm Angela.
please come forward. State your name and tell us what you want
Angela
to know.
Schubert, we want to break it off for a couple of little pieces.
Anything else?
It's pretty simple.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, simple as can be.
Okay, any questions for the applicants? All right, if not, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here, I will open the public hearing. Angela,
okay.
open up the public hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak for this rezone request? Anyone wants to speak in support of it? Hearing none, is there anyone here in opposition? Hearing none, bring it back to the board, entertain a motion. I will make a motion to approve. Motion made by Canola Scott to approve, second by Kenneth. Any comments, questions?
One question. Does that, I can't, even in classes, I can't read the number. Does that leave the parent parcel with at least 100 feet of the road frontage?
It does. Let me just double check. I'll always make sure.
I'll make
We got, yeah, 112.6 plus another 54.
Yep.
You good? Yep. All right, all right. The vote, Lee?
Yes.
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 Yes. 6-0 to approve. Number 8.
All righty.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, number 8 is Tanya Hardy, applicant for her husband, Charles Hardy, is requesting to rezone his 10 acres from A2 to AR to allow a 2-acre split for their son to build a home on. Property is located at 1690 Helican Springs Road in Hull on map 18, parcel 43 in District 1, and they come up before us a month ahead and had to bring it into conformity from A1 to A2, so now we're having to do a 2-step on that one.
Okay. It may fall under the category of already had applied prior to this
Correct.
new ordinance. Okay, Tanya or Charles Hardy or both, please come up and tell us what you want us to know.
I'm Tanya Hardy, and I think it's pretty simple with this one. My son and his wife want to build a house, and we're going to deed off 2 acres of land, and they're going to build there on our farm property.
All right, is that all?
Thank you.
All right. We'll now open the public hearing. Is there anyone here who wants to speak for this rezone request? Anyone want to speak for this rezone request? Hearing none, is there anyone here who wants to speak in opposition? Anyone want to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the board for any discussion or entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A motion by Kenneth? Second by Cynthia. That we approve. Any further discussion? If not, Stephanie?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Yes. All right, it is approved, and again, the public hearings will be before the commissioners. You're welcome to come. You don't have to come, but please do, because there may be some questions I can't answer.
We'll be there. Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
All right. Move on to the next order of business is the discussion recommendation of the final draft of the comprehensive plan. And I'm not real clear on what we're supposed to be doing.
Y'all have any comments or edits that need to be made to the DOC about the comprehensive plan as it stands? It's due in the 31st of this month and has to be approved by June 1st. I think that's right.
I don't remember. I've lost track.
I'm just wondering why, like, even if we give them changes, they're approving it anyway.
Well, I don't.
Right? Because it has, because of the deadline, like it has to be.
It's June 31st.
June.
Not, yeah, because
June
of the
30th.
retreat, they're gonna go and talk about it, come back and vote at the 26th of the SC.
26th of June.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and I don't know, and y'all may know, I thought since it's already gone through, RDC, Regional Commission, and they've approved it twice, yeah, but I didn't think we could make any more changes.
We can make minor changes.
Well, afterwards.
Yeah, afterwards.
But not now.
Not now.
That's what I thought.
So this,
Further.
so we really don't need to entertain this. I mean, it's just.
After further comment, I think,
Generally, I think everyone pretty much supports the work that the comprehensive plan has done. I think we can probably pretty much agree to that, but I think obviously if we're going to be using this thing to make hard decisions about this lot and that lot, then we need to be get those character areas better defined as to what if we're going to be starting to make. If it's not on 72,
how far off of 72 would it?
Yeah. I mean, are we trying to focus in that area
I think
for
that
new development?
Going out with the third party, where if we had a zoning map that they have, nope, take it back. I take it back. I take it back. I heard something.
But I think what the land planners would tell you is the character area is by design not defined at parcel level. It's to give broad areas of this is where we want the growth to go.
That's where the development.
You will implement the borders as you entertain case by case, exactly.
So we don't want to keep a hard border.
Yeah, in other words, you can go.
I got you.
So having that flexibility is to our advantage.
You can go a half a mile down there Maple Road, but once you pass there, there's so much farming stuff that you may not want to.
Yeah, but
Like that.
the thing with what she did, she's real estate.
Yeah.
And she should have known it was gonna be hard to get agriculture changed over to business. When you have a business quarter right there, and that's the first thing they teach you.
We're encouraging development.
Yeah, but,
future land.
okay, you're encouraging development.
In that area.
Okay,
Are we talking?
are you pushing like?
If anything off of 72, there won't be any commercial activity whatsoever.
You gotta be right on the highway.
Okay.
So you still have
And see, and then when you say we're encouraging, but
show either or.
you don't want to encourage other places to take away agriculture.
No, that's why this is an area for development. This is the area that we want to
Yeah, but you're just gonna push the agricultural people out, like, you're not gonna push it.
we're keeping the agricultural folks,
But then
that's
she
the
would
whole
move
idea of the character.
But you would have moved that out.
Fruitful
Anybody
discussion,
else?
folks.
Yeah, anybody could have
We'll
came
get
in
it
there.
to,
Anybody could have came in there and put more businesses.
I want to talk about Friday. Don't we have training on Friday?
Yeah.
Yes,
Y'all gonna get the air conditioner fixed before
Yeah.
then?
Oh,
Because
I know.
Will it be in this room?
Yes, sir. It'll be in-
We'll be in this room, okay. All right, one other thing, now, I got an email from Terry Chandler today, and I responded to him and told him he's welcome to come and present whatever he wanted to present, but obviously he changed his mind and did not show, so I won't, unless Lee wants to dive into that, he may know more about what Terry wants than I do.
I think he's at the DOE meeting.
But anyway, since he's not here, we won't entertain that. Is there anything else that needs to come before this board tonight? I think we've had a lot of.
Yeah.
Are we gonna discuss parcel division recommendations, policies, anything that, I know what Terry's wanting. He's wanting anything that we can put in place in order to lift the moratorium and to keep things, to keep the county from exploding. I mean, we don't want just open parcel divisions countywide. I mean, we've got to have some limitations on this, and we've talked about it. And I know that's what Terry's wanting, is anything that we can recommend put in place in order to lift this moratorium. I mean, we were put in moratorium for a reason. So if we're going to lift it, what do we need to put in place to protect the county?
Isn't that what you've been doing for 9 months now?
Well, we're supposed to be
But we
doing
still haven't done anything on parcel division.
But if we
Well,
put something in
let me
place,
just make sure everybody understands. So there's no, I saw an email, I did not see the emails you're talking about, but I saw some others that seems to be there's some confusion about terminology. So parcel division, parcel split, subdivision, all that's the same thing. Subdivision is the act of dividing or splitting one parcel into 2 or more parcels. So I think you actually did make a change of, and a minor and major. I mean, most zoning ordinances define what is a minor subdivision, and there's some streamlined processes for approving those plats. And anything that's not defined as minor is major, and then it goes through the full process with preliminary and final and all the stuff in between.
Okay, that's a flow chart for that.
Right, yeah. So, and I think you changed it from 5 to 6 for the threshold for major.
Because that's what our neighboring counties were doing.
Right. So that's been addressed, so I'm not sure what else is.
Let me give you an opinion of mine.
Has that been approved and implemented, that it's going to go from 5 to 6?
Oh, yeah. We did that last year.
Can I say neighboring county, you think like Franklin, Oglethorpe?
I'm talking about in our district. Not including Oglethorpe, because they just fiddle everything down. Everything else in our district, Newton, Monroe, Greene, Oconee, happens Clark County. If you split a parcel, I think it's in square footage now. Jackson and Banks, looking at those primarily.
And that's the North Georgia Regional Commission counties.
Same region as us.
Yeah.
Well, somebody needs to help me understand the moratorium, I guess. I'm a little slow. But we didn't enact a moratorium. Board of Commissioners did. And I know that they depend on us to make recommendations to them. They didn't ask us when they put the moratorium in place to make any recommendations. But yet they're asking us to make some recommendations before they can lift it.
Well, the moratorium
expires
by its own terms on May, what's the expiration? May 22nd.
so if we make recommendations now to change something or other, we wouldn't get it in because we'd have to have 2 public hearings, right, Mike?
Yeah, for changes to the zoning ordinance.
Right,
So,
but not recommendations to the board on to lift it or to extend it.
well, just to extend it.
Yeah, just to extend it.
Well, they can do that, not us.
It was on subdivisions, right?
Which one?
Moratorium.
Moratorium was originally set up, or I was tasked with addressing parcel size and land usage in agricultural areas.
Well, wait. So that's the purpose. The moratorium is on accepting applications for rezones and plat approvals.
Yeah.
I don't think we didn't put a moratorium on building permits in this.
No.
So, and then it was lifted piecemeal, as you know.
What about subdivision? The subdivision regs and all that kind of stuff.
So
is that part of the moratorium?
Yes, sir. So get this concept. So there are acts that occur. So that in this office, the administrative side of it, the moratorium. So what this office does is they accept applications for rezones and start putting those through the process. They also accept plat submittals, and Some of those, they approve themselves, some of them have to go to the DOC.
Correct.
So the moratorium was on accepting both of those kinds of applications, for plat approvals and for, plat approvals are mostly going to be governed by your subdivision regs. Although they have to, the office is going to examine the zoning ordinance and subdivision regs before they approve a plat or recommend it for approval. And then rezones, you know how those work. So, yeah, so now we're looking at why was there a moratorium on those things? It was to address those issues that Christopher was talking about.
And then during the moratorium, it got extended because they wanted more issues to be resolved that go into more depth than we have staff and time to address. That's the reason I've been recommended for the third party. So we have professional input in any detailed edits, especially with.
Well, if that's the case, that we obviously need help.
Well, it depends on what you want to do. I mean, so I've asked around and done some, tried to talk to my colleagues who are county attorneys, and so uniformly what I get is that in-house text amendments to your zoning ordinance and subdivision regs are confined to tweaks. Those are if you think your main structure is working well, but you want to make some small adjustments here and there that don't have big unintended consequences, in-house can do that. If you think, as Lee just said, that, we're too open, we're going to be overrun with development, that's beyond the scope. Nobody does that in-house. So where do you think you are?
Can I ask something? The big thing was about paying for third-party money, just being on money. I'm just throwing it out there. You have a resource in Athens, Park County at the University of Georgia. You have grads that need to do theses that are maybe doing urban development or whatever.
I've never heard of that.
Well, no, I called them because they have where you have to do economic development and present stuff before you can graduate or.
Oh, I understand
yeah,
that. I've never heard of the city or county getting grad students to revise their entire land use.
Oh, no, the whole, but I'm just saying, that you said you needed help. And see, they have professors that are over them. It's not that they're out there doing
I've told you what I've told you what everybody I've talked to tells me, and that is, there's Ross and Associates, there's WSP USA, there's Jordan Engineering.
Yeah, Jordan Engineering.
There's Integra Group in Atlanta, is one of the small ones. They're
an EDU profession.
Yeah, but if you want the major revision, that's how you look to some companies like that to do it.
But they said they needed help and they didn't want to pay big money. As I say, not help going in there, but helping you with whatever you have to do, not going there and whoever's got to do it.
I'm not going to write a new zoning ordinance. Christopher's not going to write a new zoning ordinance. Christopher and I will make tweaks to the zoning ordinance you got. If you want somebody to write a new one, you bring in a professional who does this either statewide or nationwide, who has seen it in lots of different places and can tell you what's best for your county.
And is it worth the investment that you're going to have to pay to do that?
I don't know.
Is our problem that huge?
I don't know. So that's for you and the Board of Commissioners to decide, one, do you think the problem's that big? If you think it is, then I have already said numerous times, I think the next step, and Christopher's already started down this path, is to talk to the counties who have already done this and ask them, who did you hire? How did you find them? Do you think it was worth it?
Yeah.
What worked well? What didn't work well? In hindsight, what would you have changed? Then come back with a recommendation of how we go forward from there.
Okay. Is that recommendation supposed to come from us?
Oh, I
from Christopher? From you? From who?
I assume it would come from Christopher.
That's what I've been doing. They want to know y'all's input and we've already recommended that.
Don't let me interrupt you too much, but if you're gonna do that, and you're gonna depend on us to help you make a recommendation, then we gotta know everything you know.
I don't have any
I
problem
think
with
we already have, we already sit down,
That won't take long.
CNC and have a meeting and ask them, let them tell us instead of writing emails. They should do it our face instead of writing emails, because we can interpret emails in different ways. If they want something, they need to come present it to us in person.
Yes.
Well, I think what they need to do is, they need to be on one accord, because we got, this is just my own personal opinion, man. We got one commission over here that says, we need to do this, and I want y'all to do this. And these over here say, well, I don't know if we need to do that or not. And they're not making any recommendations. So until they come together as a total group to tell us what they want from us, then we're never gonna go anywhere.
But I thought we already made a recommendation that we needed a third party to come in. So according to you, didn't you agree that we needed a third party?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So
we brought it before
what
in the
is-
last BOC meeting.
So we already did that. So what is the problem?
Well, we don't have an answer from them,
I'm
correct?
sorry.
No, you don't have an answer.
We don't have an answer to even move forward
No, they
to
did not
finding
take a vote.
someone.
They didn't take a vote.
And then don't they want to hire the least expensive? Oh,
The board didn't take a vote, and the chairman has not directed an RFP, which again, I would not recommend an RFP as the first step. I would recommend this investigation as the first step.
Cindy asked me that question the other day, what's an RFP?
Request for proposals.
Yeah, he told me.
All right.
Before I do any answer, yes, sir. I don't know if it's him.
Well, and I think the comprehensive plan, that was quite a undertaking, and I think it's useful. And I think there's some things that have already come out that I think that I don't see. I think we're probably buttressed somewhat from the worries that the moratorium, the reason for the moratorium, and the fact that we have significantly changed the minimum sizes for different zoning, and the splits are going from 2 to 4. I mean, those are significant things that still are going to be, surprising to people when they see it in effect.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've gotten feedback on both sides, and it's pretty much almost 50-50. But once again, if that's the direction that we're heading, that's the direction we're heading.
And I have, just so y'all know, reached out to Brian Kent's economic developer, the head of that, brilliant man, and tried to seek advice going that route as well.
Yeah.
Third party.
Yeah.
Flat out. I think the question with the moratorium, in particular, coming from Terry, where this is circling up towards the end, the only thing we haven't listed is rezone to residential, straight R, R1, R2, R3. We've opened everything else up. And to this point, we've only allowed one split in a parcel that's conforming or leaving non-conforming. That's the reason we did the two-step ones. Are we comfortable with where we're sitting right now? This is a question that gets asked to me in about 85 different ways. Are we comfortable now to allow rezones to come through to residential rezones, which we haven't done in a year? Any residential rezones, unless you include AR. Agreement. And then whether or not to lift that one parcel split. Those are the two things that get thrown at me regularly. Are we ready to open up to residential, or are we going to get the floodgates opened on us through development? That's one way it gets phrased. And then the other, we've done what we needed to with major subdivisions. Whether it be in our zoning ordinance for major subdivisions or on the county with the driveway ordinance and things of that.
Right.
They went hand in hand. Major subdivisions at this point in time, I'm not saying it's perfect by any means. that we're good. We can work with it and with the conditions and the site reviews, and we're taking care of a lot of in-house with the preliminary and the final plat. What we require in to help share the information with y'all and how it comes in, that was a huge thing. The format and paperwork, that's been cleaned up. Cul-de-sacs was another thing, and the driveways was another thing. Those were the biggest ones. We have major subdivisions were good. What they're looking at is that gap and changing that land use to residential, and that gap between that one parcel division where it doesn't change land use and where it maxes that going to major. They are wanting that Dutch boy with his finger in the dam, so to say, for those in-between spots between the lots. They want a minor, and they want to have the number of splits. That's their question.
But that, I mean, that's the whole, I mean, we already did that.
Yeah.
Major subdivisions are 6, and everything below that's minor.
But now they're wanting minor defined.
Well,
You don't define minor as anything that's not major. I mean,
have you been
But
reading my
if someone takes a 20-acre parcel and they want to split it into 5 lots, 5 parcels, it's a minor subdivision. So what kind of requirements do they have to meet? We know what a major subdivision has to meet. I think, in my eyes, what do you have to meet for a minor subdivision?
Well, if they meet
4 and 5 lots.
If they go to 5 lots being accessed from one road, then they have to bring that road up to county standards because it's accessing more than 4 parcels. So we catch them on that number 5. Right there, if they're trying to use one road the whole way, but say that same 20 acres is 240 foot deep, but 10,040, forgive me if I'm a little off, feet long, and we have 5 stacked driveways. But the driveway ordinance keeps them from being able to stack driveways. One of the questions is, well, what's going to be the limits on county roads? Do we need to have lights? Do we need to have curb and gutter? Do they need to plan in that development? I think it all comes to when you change land use, when we make a recommendation, say that 20 acres is an A2, and they want to change it to an AR, so say it's for family purposes. We have to look at that big use of the parcel, that 20-acre parcel, as intense agriculture but no chicken houses. If we change that 20-acre parcel to AR, we are, as our recommendation board and as staff, we're saying we're good with this parcel now becoming 5, possibly 5 splits, just not what this person's asking, but what it opens the door up to.
So,
I may be completely off.
As your subdivision regulations exist now, they only apply to major subdivisions. That's not how any modern subdivision reg or UDC works. Everybody else has a set of requirements that applies to minor subdivisions too, but it's a less onerous set that applies to major subdivisions. You will have pushback from the same people who came to the Board of Commissioners meeting whenever the last one was, about property rights. And I shouldn't have to do these things just to cut off 2 acres or 4 acres for my son and daughter to build a house. You know, you either do or you don't.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, I mean, there's no way to say, Ms. Jones, yeah, I know you, and I know that your daughter's always going to live there, and I don't have to worry about that one. But Mr. Smith, I think you smell like a developer, so I'm going to make you go through the others. You can't do that.
And essentially, that's what they're.
Yeah. And like this moratorium, but you could find 10,000 reasons to extend the moratorium. You can extend it until everybody seems to be pleased at what they want. At some point, I tend to agree with Todd. It's time to move on.
I do too, and I'm glad you said it because I do want to say that the chairman's made the point, and he's exactly right. If you do go out for a third party, It's gonna take a lot of time, it's gonna have a lot of expense, and if you're not very careful in how you select that third party and work with them, you may wind up with a bad product, something worse than you had, or at least no better at the end. He's not wrong about any of that. So there's the question is, are we still at the point that we favor letting Ms. Jones not have to be burdened with that stuff at the risk of Mr. Smith also being able to do it the same way? Or are we at the point that we go out and do the third party, we make these changes, and Ms. Jones now has to go through that because we want to keep an eye on Mr. Smith?
Maybe I'm not understanding the third party. When you go get a third party, aren't they supposed to be working with you and designing what you want? Because it sounds like what you were saying, that they're going to design whatever they want.
No. I'm saying, so an expert land planner, I'm just saying third planner, a land planning expert, firm, person, whatever, that comes in here to do this, is going to meet with you, hear what you think is working right, what's working wrong, what your goals are, and then use their experience, having done this in a lot of different places, to say, here's what I think will achieve what you want.
Yeah. Same with the comp plan.
Yeah.
Same process as the comp plan. Same thing. That's all it is.
But
So it's a reiteration.
it's
It's a tool to build upon the comp
Your
plan.
zoning
Comp
is
plan.
the tool to put the plan
Right.
into place.
But
Your
the
tool
process-
should be more important than the
Military
plan.
man. Comp plan is the strategy, zoning ordinance is the tactics.
Yeah.
But it's, what I'm saying is the process is the same.
The process is the same,
The
yeah.
process is the same. All right, folks, moving along though. It's time to go home. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Can't wait till that training day is Friday.
What time was supposed to be here Friday?
Starts at 9 o'clock, goes till 4 with a 1 hour break.
God's bad luck.
Oh,
You get him to do that.
I'm sorry.
We come in the front.
I didn't know see it.
Yes, sir.
Did they realize that elementary is having their graduation